Well, I've been in Florida my whole conscious life, but my wife and I have been in Oakland Park 28 years. I grew up in Hollywood.
So you're Broward?
Yeah, where my mother was born in 41, yeah. My grandparents met in 1930.
So where'd you go to high school?
South Broward, Mighty Bulldogs.
Were you involved in athletics in school?
I was all the way. I grew up between two brothers, so it was easier to all the activities were sports related. So I started with T-ball and Little League at Lincoln Park, and then softball at Rotary Park, and then I played on softball and volleyball in high school as well.
And were you ever involved in any league activities as a kid?
Oh yeah, we were Hollywood Optimists, so for T-ball and for Little League, and then Rotary Park was a big softball league. I didn't get really into a lesbian team until we started putting teams together. In 2000 was the first teams for Kick Sports Bar. Mm-hmm. We had tryouts for two women's teams, the Mixers and the Superstars. And that started it all for Kicks. And over the next 4 years, while Kicks was open, we had dozens of teams, lesbian, gay, mixed. It was, that was really when there was no organized lesbian sports when I was growing up. And even in college, I played intramural softball, and it was not designated. So when we had the opportunity in 2000 to put those teams together, it was fantastic, and it brought a lot of women together.
Was Carol Moran involved back then?
Carol Moran was the co-owner with me. I wrote a business plan for a gay and lesbian sports bar that nobody thought gays and lesbians would be interested in, and I knew they were wrong, and so did Carol Moran. Bought into the idea as well. And we created a very successful sports bar. It was on Wilton Drive. It was next to where Tropics has their entertainment side. That was Kicks. Carol and I met. I was on the board of the GLCC. She was on the board. I was president when they bought the building in Andrews Avenue. We raised all those funds. That was right before Kicks opened. She became the president after that. And so we were very much advocates, and still, for me, I still am very much an advocate. I just finished my chairmanship at Stonewall.
And what was Wilton Manors like back in that era?
Oh, there wasn't a lot. There was some bars there, not many. I remember going to Wilton Drive when JJ's, the first lesbian bar, the first gay anything bar, was on Wilton Drive, and it's where the pub is now. And they were there long before when Georgie's was still the Piggly Wiggly. Mm-hmm. So when we opened in October of '99, so you had Tropics, you had Georgie's, you had not as yet. God, you remember Shardy's? You had quite a few, but nothing like it is today. It had definitely changed over to a blue collar town, to a gay and lesbian town, quite frankly.
I mean, it wasn't much later that you had a gay mayor.
No, it wasn't much later. And as a matter of fact, 2000 was when we got domestic partnership because of Robin Bodiford and Dean Trantelis, who is now, Dean's now the mayor of Fort Lauderdale, and Robin is a prominent lawyer still in the area. As a matter of fact, I saw her this week during Wilton Women's Week.
Within a very short time after that, noted influence in the community nationally, the number of same-sex couples.
Absolutely. We were one of the first areas to have domestic partnership, and then my wife and I did that the first year that it came out. And then, of course, the day that gay marriage became legal in the state of Florida, January 6th, 2015, we got married at the courthouse with 106 other couples that first night. We were one of the last couples married at 5 a.m. So, yeah. The league started a few years before that, but I really think, for the women's league, it really started to take off. We sponsored many, many women's teams. We sent many women's teams to the World Series. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, it was a very out and about league, and it was at Mills Pond. Everybody played at Mills Pond at that point. And it was definitely affected so many people in our community. It brought so many people together on Sunday. We'd all go and play in the morning, early afternoon, and then one sponsor bar would get the after party for everybody, guys and gals. And that was amazing. I can tell you something, it didn't matter how much food we made, if we had set it up outside or inside of Kicks, we never had enough. It was jam-packed with people. And I think it really brought home to everyone that this was a safe place to be. Not only Wilton Manors, not only on Sunday, but the whole community, Broward County, for sure. Well, I'll tell you, when we decided to have a tryouts for our first 2 teams, I was coach of the mixers and Carol was coach of the superstars. And I still have a woman today, 25 years later, that is still likes to bring up to me that I did not pick her for my team. And she is now married to the pitcher from our original team. That is long, you know. And I mean, the butterfly effect of back then, I mean, you didn't know back then how impactful this was gonna be and how long this would go on. As a matter of fact, I ran into a couple, they're still together today. They either met at Kicks or met playing softball, 2 excellent softball players. And we were joking about, we were at the Sunshine Cathedral last night for a women's comedy event. And she said to me that they, at one of the fundraisers, because to go to the World Series, we all had to raise money. And for this particular one, we were going to San Francisco, had to be around 2002, 2003. And we were doing every kind of fundraiser you can imagine. And everybody had spaghetti dinners and, you know, all sorts of things. And that particular Kicks team had a fundraiser at Sunshine Cathedral. They had a spaghetti dinner. And she loved that church so much that she took her parents there. And it has been her church for 25 years. Well, from 2000 to 2004, it was the epicenter of women's softball. I mean, we sponsored, if we could put enough women together, we would sponsor a team. We would do everything we could to promote and grow that league.
So at its height, what would you say the number of women were back then that were involved in a team athletic?
Oh, well over 100, 150. I mean, at one point we had 3 different divisions. We had novice, we had rack intermediate, and we had competitive. I mean, it was, you know, and there's so many great stories that came out of that. Oh, I'll give you a great one. So my team was slated to win the intermediate division, which would then give us the invitation to the World Series in California. And we lost the game that meant we were going to be able to go. And the league came to us and said, hey, we don't have a competitive team to go. If you want to go competitive, you can go. And we're like, we're going, because we had so planned on this. We were so disappointed when we didn't win. And we practiced 3-4 times a week all summer for this. And we were so excited to go, even if we had to play. And competitive was, you know, these were teams that had, most of their women had scholarships to college softball, and, you know, because there was no professional after college. And we worked our butts off, and we practiced, and we got there and kind of found out we were the laughing stock of the World Series, because here's the Fort Lauderdale team that thinks they can go competitive. So you started with a round robin with 20 teams, and the round robin determined where you would play. And so imagine there was just so many teams there from all over the country. And we ended up, out of 20 teams, I think our position was like 18, which is terrible. But we believed, it didn't matter to us, and we proceeded to just start winning every single game. We sent home the runners-up from last year to the losers division. We sent the champions to the losers division. And throughout the week, it got to the point where people were coming to see where Kicks mixers were, what they had done the night before, because we would play, late. And we ended up coming in 5th in the competitive division. And we were so, so proud of that. And it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of laughter. And it was probably one of the most exciting weeks. To be 30 something and to be playing competitive softball was pretty cool. I think everybody kind of supported each other. I mean, there was definitely growing pains because it was a younger league, and the women's teams were really coming up and trying to figure out how to work all 4 fields at Mills Pond. But overall, what I really loved about the early years was, at least when we had Kicks was everybody, so if Georgie's got the after party or Kicks got the after party, everybody went to the after party. And that was a great unity, to have just so many athletes in our community. And we knew we all knew each other. If we saw each other out on a Wednesday or Thursday night at different bars, there was that we were familiar with each other. It wasn't cool necessarily to be gay in 2000. You needed, that space. You needed to have a safe place to go. But I think that the butterfly effect of that league and organizations like that was imperative to our success. There was a lot of growth from when the league opened in 1990 or in the mid 90s to when Cheryl became, I think it was just the gay men had their teams. And then a couple of women's teams started, and then a couple of more. And then I really do think that Kicks led to a lot, just was an explosion of the amount of women teams in the league. And Cheryl did an amazing job as commissioner. How did organized leagues like this help us to advance? And that's visibility. We became very, very visible. We became more people that may not have thought that we should be able to adopt or be married, became more and more familiar with their gay cousin or their lesbian neighbor or their bisexual aunt. It didn't matter, to them that we were gay at that point because we were just so out and so visible and so normal, per se, that it led to us getting more rights. Even today, in this hostile environment that we're in, the polls still show that the majority of Americans, and a significant majority of Americans, believe in gay marriage. And I think that has to do with us always being seen and always being out there. Our community, it's really important that our kids are protected. And I think the last 20 years, up until 2016, there was such growth, there was such acceptance that we saw a significant decrease in attempted suicide of kids in our community. And unfortunately, I think we're gonna see that go up a touch. I hope not, we're all fighting for it. That's in nonprofits, but that visibility has been so important to everything we've gained and everything we deserve, which is basic human rights. And if I have to hit a softball to help make that happen, or sponsor a team, or get a uniform, imagine all the ripple effects of this. All of the people that were affected by this softball league, that the positivity, and how many people we took under that didn't have anywhere to go. I can't tell you how many people showed up that we would create another team because they were coming out of area, they didn't have friends, they didn't have the support, they didn't have any of that. And these softball teams, the gay men's teams, the lesbian teams, we gave that, everybody had that on Sunday afternoon. So I'll tell you something, let me tell you a story about Kicks that is great. We had the opportunity, there's a bus that goes from downtown Fort Lauderdale to Pompano on Wilton Drive, Northeast 3rd, and Northwest 3rd. And it's the #1 bus. And we bought the advertising on the side of that bus. And we put our logo, and we put the ultimate gay and lesbian sports bar in the early 2000s. And I cannot tell you, that bus driver would stop, and if he saw one of us outside, to just tell us how proud he was. This big, this big guy from another country was just so proud to be driving this bus. And one day, 2 or 3 years after, we had no vandalism, we had no problem, we're as big as day on this bus that went back and forth every day, multiple times. And then one day he came to work and somebody had cut out the gay and lesbian. And he was devastated. He was so upset. He apologized to us. And the transit department had that change, had that fixed within a day. And I just see him, and these are straight people that had never, I don't think he had ever met a gay person. I don't think but he understood how important that was for us to do. And those were things, and anytime we could help any organization, we did it. If we could hold an event, we did it. And that's really, it's so much bigger than just owning a business. Well, let me tell you something. There are people that I met at softball that I'm still dear friends with, that I know that I will be there for them as they age, as they will be for me. And I can tell you that's what this type of community of, to have this type of softball league, for example, has really created. I mean, we have created a family that goes for decades and decades. And I have no doubt if I called somebody that I haven't spoken to for my team in 20 years, they will be there for me as I would be for them. And that's a very, very big deal. And this is proof of it, what you're doing here. And I can't thank you enough, because I think it's really important that leagues like this, happens everywhere, especially now. I think that South Florida should always be the beacon for our community across the nation. Never be afraid, always stand tall, always be prepared, be proud, and do what makes you happy. That's the whole reason I started volunteering at Stonewall. That's why I became a board member for 3 years, was to show our sister and brothers, our younger sisters and younger people in our community, that what they can accomplish and that they can be anything and they can be successful and they can get through trying times like this. And this is very, very important. Everything, especially Stonewall, is super important for that, for the exhibits they do, the information they provide, and it's all about showing the next generations that they can be as fabulous as we are.